Hey, this is John Black, and this is Talking with Spirits, episode 8. And if it isn't, I will edit it. We got Adam and Sara, who are, I guess, at the Edinburgh Manor, and they're sitting in on this one. So, hope you enjoy. Leave comments and tips.
Yes.
Thank you. What did you think of Edinburgh, you guys?
That's probably, God, we've got to be approaching about a dozen trips out there. And I think that each time we've been out there, it's been a different experience, but it's so active. And like I was telling Nico, when you go out there sometimes and you're like, nothing's happening, it's so boring, and then you get home and listen to your evidence, and it's just like, oh my God, there was so much happening around us.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I've been there 4 times, and we've had 4 times. Yeah, we've had one time like that, so nothing happened, and that was it. And it's always, it seems to me, it's always in the winter that it's slow. So I don't know if that's an energy thing or,
maybe ghosts just don't like the cold either.
Yeah, could be.
Right. I mean, we discussed that a couple other times on this. Is it a weather thing that makes,
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't like the winter, you don't like the winter, nobody likes the winters.
they do always seem to tell us. There's all kinds of, you guys have gotten EVPs of saying it's cold. I've gotten EVPs in places that I'm saying it's cold, so maybe there's something to that.
I don't know, but there was some good stuff happening there this time. So
A lot more than normal, I'd have to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Than the other times that I've been there, there's been a lot more.
Eric actually got freaked out this time.
Finally.
It did happen.
It did happen, yes, it did. I had to get up and leave a room.
When I went down there shortly after you.
Right, and nothing.
Not a lot really happened. I mean, there was a couple of little, like maybe the bed squeaked, but I wasn't really, not really
Let's
sure.
see, what I heard was coming from like the wardrobe little area over to my right. And I mean, then you said maybe it's because we called it out. It quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we hadn't maybe made such a big deal about what we were hearing and just kind of, do you hear that? Then maybe it would have kept going.
It's a really hard thing to do, though.
It is.
Right.
To not get excited and...
Well, a little bit.
I mean, we were hearing like
Right.
footsteps and stuff. Footsteps!
Yeah.
Ooh, I said it out loud and they stopped.
Because there was talking going on before that, and she said down to me down the hall, "Do you hear that?" And I'm like, "I think it's behind me."
Yeah.
It's behind me, isn't it? It's like the old horror film. You're behind me, aren't you?
There were definite men talking, definite movement. People were hearing footsteps. So for sure there was something going on. And prior to that, we had heard a lot that it kind of felt like maybe the energy was coming down the hall to a point where I didn't want to look down the hall because I didn't know what was coming.
Yeah,
But it still seems like a lot of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
We'll go to an area,
always.
and it's happening somewhere else. So we'll move to that area, and then it's back where we originally started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like when we sat in the pool room after you guys left. We went and sat in the pool room because we always kind of hear stuff in the pool room, and there were footsteps upstairs. We could hear them, and it was like, oh, so. And that's my experience when we go there, even when we did the day walk. So we'd be in one part, and you'd hear stuff down the other wing, and you go down the other wing, and you hear it upstairs. So it's kind of like that.
Well, and do you think that feeds into the theory then that it's more active when it's unobserved?
I think
because when you go to where they're at and you're ready to observe it, they've moved on.
I'm starting to form a hypothesis that it's going to be hard to prove, but I think they want to get your attention, but either some people say they're not allowed to, but very rarely you're going to get one in your face, ooh, I'm here, kind of thing. Although,
sorry to tell you.
No, I mean,
break my heart.
I said rarely because there's reported instances of stuff like that, but I think it's hey Lee,
Yeah.
Kind of deal. This is what I'm getting. Same with the.
Why would there be hauntings if they couldn't get our attention? Like, that seems like a silly theory to me. Not to
Well,
be rude.
No, I mean, not really. I mean, it's the same with, for example, okay, when a medium, let's say somebody gets murdered, and a medium is talking to the spirit and she's telling the family, okay, you know, he's in a better place now, he says he's fine. That always happens, you see it.
Yeah.
You never see a medium say, oh, by the way, he says the guy 2 doors down smashed him over the head with a sledgehammer and it's in his basement. That never happens. So you never get, there's never been a report of actual direct, here's your information that you want. It's always around the edges stuff.
I was listening to a podcast, what was that, 2 weeks ago, of a woman, and I apologize, I can't remember her name, and she said that she does get, and she's provided that type of information to the police. The problem was, I had asked how the police then submit that, I guess, as evidence, and she said they can't, so they've got to kind of find a way to find it themselves, even though they already kind of know that it's there, if that makes any sense, because psychic mediums are not a valid resource at this point.
No, but you could just call it an anonymous tip-off, to be honest with you, if you wanted to.
And they probably do at some point. So she said that, and I don't know this woman, and I don't know her case history, but she says she does get that. I don't know. I don't know the truth to that.
I mean, like I say, it's a hypothesis I'm starting to form, but it's very hard to prove. You know, it's one of those, I've got an undetectable elephant in the bar. You disprove it. It's undetectable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, 100%.
But I'm getting that feeling, put it that way. And maybe it depends on the person. I mean, maybe, you know, like, you know, and I don't want to go too much into mediums and psychics, because I'm kind of skeptical of that. A lot of them anyway, not all of them. But maybe it's a person that, you know, they can get closer to certain people and stay out on the fringes of other people. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and if you've got one in the group that's kind of like putting up a don't come near me kind of vibe, then they don't. I don't know. You know, so.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, you know, when we do the flashlight tours at the Granger House, to kind of go along with that a little bit, if you've got, it seems like if you've got one person in the group that's just like totally, I am not interested in this at all, this is silly, that group ends up being pretty slow.
Yeah.
They don't really seem to have as much happen as the other group will.
Is that why you don't take me to the Granger House right now?
Yeah, Mr. I was impressed.
You know what? The only downside of you being at the Granger House is your snoring goes into all the digital recorders and messes up all the atmosphere.
But that couch is really comfy, right?
The couch is very comfortable.
I was just gonna say, I mean, if you're gonna fall asleep anywhere, the Granger House is a place
it's really comfortable.
You know, it's haunted, things happen all the time, but you can easily fall asleep. Absolutely. In fact, I've done that.
It's times I don't sleep on the go, but there's I think Granger is the closest I've come to where I'm like, no, come on, do something, think of something to do.
Should probably plug it. These guys are the directors or directors of the Granger House.
Yeah, Adam is the president of the board. I am the subtitled paranormal director. So.
And they held flashlight tours and everything. Get on the website.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you got the.
Yeah, it's grangerhouse.org. Very easy. We're on Facebook too. On the website, if you scroll to the bottom of the page, there's a form you can fill out if you're interested in doing an investigation. It's $150 for first 5 people, $30 after that. All the money goes back into the house so we can continue to offer that piece of history to the community.
Absolutely.
They need a new roof. So.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we do.
Cedar shingles. So if you have cedar shingles you need something to do with, we'll take them.
Perfect. So we did get some good evidence.
Mm-hmm.
That picture is still kind of weird.
Let's talk about the picture. And note to self, I'm going to edit that picture in so people know what we're talking about. All 5 people that watch this. We love you.
It's going to be 10 today.
Yeah, we're going to build some numbers today.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're watching the short clips. You don't watch the deep stuff. Come on. make an effort.
Right.
So,
Picture's a little weird.
Yeah.
I was not wearing a watch. I was not wearing long sleeves. I was wearing a sleeveless shirt.
Yeah. Just to kind of set it up, we were in the cafeteria area, and I think I was showing you guys where I previously, when I did a walkthrough by myself, I was taking pictures, and my camera kept telling me to back up because it couldn't focus, but I wasn't near anything, which then potentially you could say that something was standing in front of my camera. Those pictures that I did take were blurry, but my camera told me they were going to be, so that's not surprising necessarily, and I'm not ready to rule that paranormal. But anyway, I was showing them, and I had just turned around to take a picture of the group sitting where we were, just to see what would happen, and you can see what we got.
I mean, I didn't feel anything. I didn't notice anything, but John sent me the picture, and I was like, that can't be real. There ain't no way.
Yeah, he was questioning the validity of it.
I was like, there ain't no way. I was like, that can't be right.
You know, and I did an actual shadow analysis of where all the shadows were, and it's pretty straightforward because there's a small window behind us, the sun was going down, and you can tell, all the angles of shadows, except that there's 2 extra shadows in there not being cast by anything. One of them kind of looks like it's standing straight up in the middle of the room in front of Eric, and that's why he's half blotted out. And then below it, there's like a oval shadow on the floor, which, there's no way in the world anything could have cast that in the middle of the floor. So, and then, the other thing was it looks like, and it's kind of grainy, but it looks like whoever's sitting by Eric, or on Eric, or in Eric.
I didn't see anybody there when I didn't see anybody there when I sat down. I'll just say that.
Whoever violated Eric was wearing a watch and long sleeves. So
he was walking funny. I did happen to notice that. I don't know if anybody else got that, but he had a little bit of a limp.
Wasn't that just after the dance?
Yes. Yeah, so
She played some music and I got up to dance to maybe entice
you made
some ladies over.
Trying to dance.
You clocked someone's ticket. So.
Yeah, you had just sat down.
Yep.
Although that being said, we saw nothing on the SLS camera, which is about, for me, it's like at least the 3rd time we've had something go off in front of an SLS camera and have it not register on that.
And your SLS camera died.
Mine was just
Numerous
acting
times.
goofy.
Yeah.
It would not stay. The program wouldn't stay up. I got no explanation for that.
My theory is that they can choose how they want to interact or be seen. So I don't think the SLS is the end-all be-all.
No.
I think they can choose to put themselves in a form that would be detectable through that. Sometimes they'll show up in pictures. I think they can manipulate how they want to present themselves.
Or they're not even conscious of how they're presenting themselves.
Oh, and that could be too, yeah.
Maybe it's just, they appear and, using whatever energy's there or whatever type of spirit it is. Or, there's so many variables into, that. So
When I first looked at the picture, I was like, I get a lap dance? But then I really got into looking at it and I'm like, that's not my arm.
Right.
Because it looks like it's somebody kind of just leaning forward.
you did have some ecto glitter on your outfit.
Right.
Did I?
Anyone else feeling spider webs?
I did think it was weird that he had a roll of $1 bills.
Yeah. They were Confederate bills.
Making it rain.
Just gonna hit up the Fox's den on the way home.
How rude.
One thing I will say though is that we did not, I'm speaking for the group and correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody felt like there was anything negative or out to get us. I hate when people say shadow people are necessarily evil or, automatically go to the theory of the Joker down there. It's not that at all.
Which is...
Yeah, no, I didn't feel cold. I didn't feel
No. Like I say...
threatened.
with me, it's the fight or flight goes off sometimes for no reason, and I didn't have it there at all. For Edinburgh, let me see. Probably I've had it once or twice at Edinburgh, but I didn't have it that time at all. So I did get, when the feeders went off, we'll talk about that later, but I did kind of go, whoa, that's enough now, thank you. You're being a little bit too helpful.
I do think, though, another thing about that photo is it does kind of prove that, you know, people talk about you need this big, expensive camera, but I mean, let's be honest, you know, you can use whatever you got. I mean, using the camera on your phone is perfectly acceptable. So for people who are beginning in the paranormal field, you know, just wanting to try it out, there's no reason why you can't just use your cell phone.
That's how we started.
Yeah.
You got that moving chair.
The chair on my cell phone.
On airplane mode, mind you.
Yes, on airplane mode.
On airplane mode.
On airplane mode. Yes. Disclaimer on the bottom, on airplane mode.
Well, yeah, because you don't want other random signals flying out.
Exactly.
So. Right.
We did get potentially something else that's notable. I think we need to look at it a lot more before we make a decision on it. But potentially I have another photo that
It's Eric again.
was on between Eric and I when I took a picture of him, and the chair that he was sitting in is blocked out. Looks
like
a little
sitting
bit,
down.
yeah, like white ectoplasmy, misty something. But like I said, I'm not ready to call it that. It could have been a flare on my camera. I don't know.
I think it's the dog company's leg.
That
I've
could be
seen
as well.
It does look like that.
It was his dance moves.
That was the dance moves. Yes.
Even the dogs are getting pulled in. Will you be my master? I love you.
Did we really
I was
get
going to ask
anything?
you about that.
I prefer that over the ghost box. I know people get leery about apps, but somebody that is more skeptical than probably the two of you actually kind of brought the app to my attention, and he had thought it was garbage as well and called the person who developed it, and they talked about how it was put together, and it's phonetic sounds, but there's no way that it can create words without however they do that. It takes the radio part out.
Which I'm working on with
Mhm.
Spirit Portal. I'm having more luck. I got a new version.
Is that the one that you were using in the hallway? When it said hat often?
Oh, that was my Ovilus. Yeah.
Is that the app or is that?
So the Ovilus was created by Bill Chappell.
Now you actually have the Ovilus, or is that was that just an app?
No, that we have the actual.
Yeah.
The Ovilus.
I looked them up online. They were
Not
crazy.
cheap.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can't even find them really anymore.
There's some. I wish we used the Ovilus more because A, I spent a ton of money on it, but B, it can do some really cool things, but we for some reason just never really pay much attention to it. But it can throw out the words for you. I know you guys had talked before about doing the text to type, or I'm sorry, speak to text thing.
Yep.
It's got something similar where it'll give you what it sounds like is being said, and sometimes it's nonsense, and sometimes it's real stuff.
I mean, is that just a library type of word? So I mean, like if I go
I believe that
an
is
Indian
correct.
reservation and get something.
The way it's put together, I studied it, and I don't want to burst anybody's bubbles, but I'm not a fan. I am really skeptical of, but the way it's put together is, so there is like an EMF and a temperature reader in there, and it takes the numbers from those readings, and then inside a chip it's got a library of phonetic sounds, you're right, and some words, and basically, you know, number 28 off the temperature and number whatever from the EMF does a cross-link on that table and spits out. That's how that works.
Right.
Now, I have a problem with that because, and once again, not burst people's, but I can buy a spirit box because it's radio, it's emanating energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see how that works, kind of in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with an Ovilus, to get, let's say the ghost wants to say hi, that's in that chip somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the ghost to get that word hi out, it's got to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a compressed program on a chip, and it's got to know the binary and the exact readings to send to that chip to get that word high out of it, and I cannot
But we're
get my
not
head around it.
necessarily dealing with
I mean, some people believe when you die, you
this
gain
binary
all-
code. It's
And that
we're talking to spirits.
there are words that
No, I know,
come out
but
that aren't in that.
I think the
Bible.
logic
Why
of
you
how
gotta
it's supposed to
think-
work kind of goes out the window when you say I'm using it to
Talk to spirits.
talk to somebody that's invisible. I think
Right.
the whole theory behind it kind of goes out the window on how this is how it works compared to how it works.
I absolutely see your point, but there have been times where it's been incredibly relevant to the conversation. Now, I'm not 100%, it's not what I base everything off of, and I certainly get your point.
Like in the hallway, I said a hat often. I was wearing a hat. I do in here fairly often.
And we were talking about you.
You know, so, you know, kind of is relevant in that
Yeah.
time.
I asked where we should go. It said base. Now, granted, it didn't say basement. It did say base. And then it said coffin. And to my dismay, there's a room in there that has a coffin in
Yes,
it.
there is.
So you
Which I
can
don't think we made it to, did we?
We didn't, no.
No, I don't think we
I
did.
don't
Did
like
you guys
that.
even go?
I don't like that coffin being there.
No,
It's
I
stupid.
don't either. I agree.
But that's just one of those staging things.
For sure.
I mean, why you have, it's on the third floor too, ain't it?
Second, yeah.
Yeah, second.
Why are you gonna have it up there? You know?
I mean, and it's set up for a funeral display, and I agree. I hate it.
I talked to the lady while it's there, and here's the thing. So that's a two-pronged thing. So she says, "Oh yes, we hate it too. We put it in there because one of the TV show or someone was doing a production. They wanted a coffin in there.
Probably goes with adventures.
And we need
Fuck
to
you, Zach.
And we need to we hates the Baggins. My precious.
It's my shout out. Fuck you, Zach.
You've been acknowledged. That's what you're after. In fact, no, you only deserve my pinky. Anyway, so she said, no, we need to get rid of it. That was like a year ago, and they still haven't.
They
so,
won't. I
no.
mean,
It's good for the teeny boppers,
yes.
basically.
And people who are there for the wrong reasons.
You know.
I shouldn't say the wrong reasons. People who are not as committed to it as perhaps we are.
People who are there for the
Thrill.
the excitement factor.
Yeah.
You know, they're not there to try to do anything.
No, they just want to go and wind themselves
Scientific.
up.
Right.
And they'll take pictures, and the dust will get in it and go, look, we got orbs.
Oh my god.
Oh
Right?
my goodness!
Sorry.
Don't get me started.
And if you're gonna go out there, you might think you hear something. Make sure you check the front door.
Oh god.
Oh my goodness! Right?
Yeah, there's a girl's voice that you can hear.
I was getting ready to take
sometimes.
off down the hallway.
Oh, I totally heard
I
it.
know that was ridiculous.
I didn't hear it. So
I was getting ready to take off down the hallway because we heard a distinct girl's voice.
Uh huh.
and
It was somebody outside the front
they
door.
were teenagers
Yeah.
outside.
Which-
And the funniest thing was when Adam went out, because I was right, Adam went out, I was behind him, and the one girl froze at the door with the camera like that, deer in the headlight, and everybody else had already booked it back to the car, jumped in the car,
yeah.
and just left her there.
By the way, your friends suck.
Yeah, we were like, you didn't have a class of friends.
Your friends just left you.
Yeah. Like, I don't think you understand what just happened there. They just took off without you.
No man left behind. She's a woman.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's.
And that happens frequently.
It does.
Yes.
So
People
yeah,
doing
but-
drive-bys but then as far as okay, so last time we were there, I don't remember his name. He told us there's a new name at Edinburgh, Nettie, and you did some research or had done research, and the name is actually in the book that the girl named Nettie was there.
And what did you say, 1943?
It was like 1940, 1943, something like that.
Okay.
So
Well,
the name is relevant to somebody in the book, but how did somebody go through and do that much
I'm
research
still skeptic of stuff
and just
like
pick
that.
up a name?
Right.
It keeps every time you go back. Oh, we've got some new names. Like, where are you getting these names from?
Well, that's why I'm glad you did the research because you get look through there. That's why I said I want to look through there and see if that name is on that list, and it is.
Yeah. But
So
But if I was able to find it, anybody could find it.
I-
Now that doesn't mean everybody's going to take the time to.
no, but
I mean,
sorry.
I don't even know how because I've tried looking on history on it and stuff, but I've never been close to anything like that.
I'm a little bit of a nerd.
Good job.
Oh, she's got history on every building we go to. which is good.
Right.
We need that.
Right.
Which is rare for the TV shows because they don't do that.
Oh my god,
They
it
just
pisses
make it
me
up.
off to no end when the history they give is wrong. Malvern Manor, I'm just going to go on a tangent here for a second.
Here we go.
Malvern Manor is a prime example. They have said in everything I've ever seen, TV show wise, YouTube videos, that Inez hung herself in a closet in that building. Inez is a young girl. She did hang herself in a closet, and it was because her parents were coming to get her. It was not at that building. In fact, she lived with her aunt and uncle, and they lived nowhere near that building. And as for the other lady that they talk about, and I can't remember her name, that was supposedly schizophrenic and something else, there's interviews done with the caretaker who owned the building for 50-some years, and she said there's never been anybody there with that name that had those symptoms. So it's just simple stuff like that. I hate when people, and I feel like if you're going to be an owner of a building and invite people in and give them history, you have some responsibility to give them truth. I'm not going to tell you guys the Granger family was murdered in their beds when clearly that's not the truth, just to kind of sensationalize what's happening.
I wouldn't go, it'd be too scary.
Well, and you know, the thing is that
I'd be more invited to want to sleep in one of the beds.
right. The
It's not getting you out of them. Ta-da!
But the
It's
history
a win-win.
the history can be just as exciting, maybe not quite as sexy, but you know, maybe Inez is in that building. I've never been to Malvern, and she could very much be there. She could very much be hanging out there, but she certainly didn't hang herself there. And I kind of feel like they have a responsibility to put out.
Isn't that one we want to do is Malvern?
Yeah, the other one that's guilty of that though is Farrar with the molested janitor and the vicious principal. There is no historical evidence.
And we've got plenty of
whatsoever.
comments on that on
We
people
have
that
local people
said
that,
they
like,
went to school there and there's
It was a
nothing
great
Right.
true
school.
about
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Right.
So
But every school that people say is haunted, people say that the janitor molested the kids.
yeah,
And the principal
that's
beat
why I
them. So-
never have a
So-
job as a janitor.
I mean, if nothing was so malicious and happened at like some of the places, why
Why are they
are
haunted?
they, why are they haunted?
I
Well,
don't think that is.
Farrar was
You know,
a
why
community
are
center.
the school kids coming back, or why what brings
I think
that energy back, or is it the building?
personal
You know.
opinion is it was a place that they were happy, and
Yep.
so they come back to visit. You know, because I don't think they're stuck there. I mean, that's
Right. I mean,
It's
is it
kinda
just
like
is it just a replay in time of?
Well, it's kinda
sometimes
like-
sure,
So I
absolutely.
mean, does that make it? Is it inanimate? Is it the building that's kind of supplies this energy
Well,
of what used to happen here? I mean,
when you sit down and remember stuff, why do you pick certain memories? You know, I remember falling off my bike once and doing this and doing that.
because my leg would
that's-
hurt.
Yeah, maybe that's their version of remembering.
That's true.
right.
You know,
And
I-
think
I
about
don't
all the
know.
emotions that happen in that school. You know, sadness, anger, happiness, you know, falling in love for the first time, whatever.
Plus a
There's-
lot of, it was a social center for the whole town and
Mm-hmm.
the surrounding farms where they used to get together and do all kinds of stuff.
Well, no, before the main school, it was just a one-room school building before the big schools.
There were lots of one-room school buildings, and they all got lumped together on
Yeah,
that piece of
so
land.
yeah, the
Occupied by
farmer
them.
donated his land. God, I want to say maybe around 1901.
And you guys have done Farrar, haven't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, you showed me the video.
Yeah, so it's and it was Cornerstone's 1921 and opened in 1920.
Have you guys did Villisca also?
No, I'm not in a hurry to go there.
It's-
I have
First
to
time I
because
did it,
I'm
the first time I did
Iowa.
it, I loved it. That's when we went down as a
It's so
team.
small,
Mm.
and I got nothing.
I had high hopes. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be the one, guys. This is gonna be the one.
Liar.
I think that because there was a murder there, people automatically assume it's going to be crazy haunted. And my personal opinion, from somebody who's never been there, is that a lot of what's there was brought there by people knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah.
I personally have not seen too much that gives me reason to believe the family's there. Although there's a lot of children's voices that I've heard EVPs of. And so perhaps there are, still children around there, but I think for the most part,
Whatever you think, children, why would they be trapped in this spot?
and I don't think they can be trapped.
Being innocent and I mean, I think the oldest one might have been, what, 11 or 10 or 11 or
something. I did have a thought on something that you talked about in your second Granger House discussion, and that was you asked the difference between using a ghost box and a Ouija board.
I think one is using yourself to let the spirit go through the ghost box. They're coming inside, hitting the box, and you're not involved.
And I think that's the biggest difference.
Right.
And that's why I tell it, because everybody's like, it's just a piece of cardboard. Yes, the box or the board itself.
Well, it's made by Parker Brothers.
Right. The board itself is harmless. You can leave a friggin' eye on it. Nothing's going to happen. The problem is when you allow
Channeling.
anything you want, anything to use your energy, that's when you are allowing anything dark or negative. Now that doesn't mean you're going to get that, but you've given them permission then to come in. So that was just my tidbit.
Yeah, it's kind of like vampires. Only come in if you invite them.
Yes.
No, I think the difference is if, you know, and once again, I'm a skeptic. I'm saying if all this stuff is true, this is how I see it working. So, you know, the Ouija board, they're coming through and controlling you to move the planchette. With the spirit box, you're not. You'll say, okay, talk to this thing and I'll listen. You know, don't be using me.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
I'm not even doing the tuning. The box is.
What's the other one? Ghost writing.
Yeah, that's
that
way.
Yeah, that can be dangerous too.
Because it's channeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything that uses your body to communicate. So
unless you're very specific, and even then, you know, what do they say? The devil's the king of lies. So.